Howdy, hey, star people. Today, oh, that's not nice in the United Kingdom. Can't open the video like that. Howdy, hey, star people. Today, we're going to look at the new Virgo moon on September 21st, 2025, and the lunar cycle which follows it. That will lead out to a full Pisces moon October 6th, 2025. And this video will spend time with the whole lunar cycle. New moon, full moon, waxing, waning moons, and the planetary transits for the whole month. But first, let's start as I prefer to in 3 dimensions. So here we are looking at space. Space is where we live. So from our vantage point, we see sun and moon aligned with the backdrop of early constellation Virgo, and we see them close enough to the south lunar node that we have an eclipse. So it's an early Virgo eclipse on September 21st, 2025. And this is preceded like around the sky, the way the planets move, by Mercury and Mars. And they're also in Virgo. We have Venus near to Regulus in Leo, Jupiter near to Pollux in Gemini, that's Beta Gemini. We have Uranus close to the Pleiades in constellation Taurus. Pisces, oh yeah, mighty Pisces, very, very heavily occupied. We have Eris creeping up into the territory of Pisces. She's come up kind of in her eccentric orbit this way. We have Ceres, who follows the ecliptic band pretty close, but is a little unhinged and has taken her position for this new moon down in constellation Cetus, the sea monster, the beast of the depths. Chiron is in Pisces, conjoined Eris, and Saturn and Neptune conjoined in early stars of Pisces. And just leaving the stars of Pisces on their journey in an opposite direction around the zodiac is this north lunar node, Rahu, who's entering into Aquarius, nearby to the main form stars of Aquarius. And last but certainly not least, we have Pluto, who is in a wide no man's land between Capricorn and Sag, a wide sort of gap. Technically occupying, what this system that I'm using, what this zodiac calls Capricorn, but not quite into the main form stars, not quite into the main. The power of Capricorn is not strongest out here on the edges where Pluto is. It is a cusp. I would consider Pluto to be cuspy. All right, here we are then with the same date, same chart, different format, looking at it in 2 dimensions with the geometric relationships emphasized. And just to kind of overview this new moon, some of the features that we're going to discuss in the coming minutes are that it's a Virgo solar eclipse. It's a member of Saros Series 9 New South, or Saros Series 154, and there's also a basket. We talk about the basket, and for anyone new to the channel, just joining or unfamiliar with the basket for any reason, I would like to point out this fantastically conflustellated formation of outer planets. These are the very slow movers: Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. They are in tight formation. Except Saturn. Saturn's drifted like a little out of tight formation, but we'll talk about that. We have, as a feature of this chart, all of the inner planets, right? Direct, that you'll notice. And they are in relationship with the outer planets. Only Jupiter, who's, that's actually his position as an intermediary. Some people give Jupiter and Saturn a kind of intermediary position when it comes to this inner outer planet distinction. He, anyway, is the only planet who isn't part of some like really pretty serious formation. So we'll look at that formation, what it portends, and what we can hope to gain by riding these waves consciously. We have a lot going on, so let's take a look at it kind of piecewise. Let's start with that Virgo solar eclipse. Now, early Virgo gets, Virgo gets, I'd say Virgo gets a good rap, but it is famous for being neurotic. Virgo's a lot of good things. It's uplifted, it's clean, Virgo loves to improve things. Virgo loves to make things better. Virgo lives by a natural sort of campsite rule of like, leave it in more decent shape than you found it whenever that's possible. I've heard building people say, if you want a job done right, put a Virgo on it. And at the same time, the wisdom of astrologically minded construction folks aside, Virgo's famous for a couple things. It is famous for experiences that teach humility. Humility. Virgo and Virgo people are famous for exhibiting a certain humble attitude. The sort of problem with humility is it's generally gained by experiences that humble us. Humble us. Now, we don't always like those while they're happening. We call those when we experience them, we often label them as crises. And Virgo, I just want to not gloss this point, really give voice to the resonance between the stars of Virgo, especially early Virgo, especially we're just 5 degrees into Virgo. And we're dealing with we're just beginning to deal with Virgo and prerogative. So this is like a little bit immature expression, this early section of Virgo. We're just coming out of a Leo phase, big personal opinions and power and expression. And now the template is that coming out of Leo and its big, boisterous, powerful expression, the energies of Virgo lower us. The energies of Virgo humble. And they often do this through presenting crises in which people learn great humility. So, with these sort of neurotic and kind of darker, if you will, kind of shadow aspects of the sun and moon meeting emphasized, because South Node is with them, and South Node is a little bit of a twisted actor. And because the meeting of sun and moon is characterized by eclipse, I think this is likely to emphasize the more, neurotic and difficult, challenging aspects of early Virgo. This eclipse is part of a series which I talked about last month in last month's video. I talked about in the full moon excerpt I published around the time of the last full moon. And so if you want to reference a lot of good information about Saros Series 9 New South, Saros Series 154, and how it relates to astrology, and I kind of call your attention to that. It is interesting that the chart, the origin chart of this Saros series, it has similarities, and we can bring that up now. We can take a look. This is the very first eclipse in a series of eclipses that will last till about the year mid 3000s, so maybe 3500, 3600, if I remember correctly. And this eclipse, this first of its series, Saros series 154 or 9 New South, is marked by certainly by Sun Moon conjunction. We would hope so. And it's also marked by Saturn Neptune conjunction. We have, let's take a look at that. We have Saturn at 6 degrees 53, Neptune at 805. That is actually a 1 degree relationship. So we have a close conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. We have a close conjunction between Eris and Chiron. And these are the close conjunctions of the origin chart of the eclipse series of the Saros cycle that the new moon we're experiencing now on September 21st is part of. And I want to call your attention to 3 close conjunctions: Sun Moon, Neptune Saturn, and Eris Chiron. So have a resonance. We have a resonance. We have a point in time concordant with this new moon eclipse that resonates with the year 1917. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating the more you know about the year 1917. So, a very good year somewhere in the world. It's always a very good year somewhere in the world. So, with that, I just want to put that down. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, because I spent a fair amount of time last month, and those videos are available. When we look at the nature of the eclipse, one of the notes that we can take a lot of helpful information from is the idea that the lunar nodes themselves are in Leo and right on the Pisces Aquarius cusp in Aquarius. So I said a lot about this last month too, and there's not an incredible need to repeat myself. I think if Virgo does express as crisis, it could be around a need to submit our kind of personal stake. That's a very it's a very Leonian way of thinking about energy. It's just your personal stake in anything. How much you're invested. What does it mean to you? Like, what's in it for you? These are the questions Leo asks. And when we think about perhaps being asked to surrender or give up our personal stake or having it somehow compromised, we can think of that represented in the heavens as the North Node in Aquarius. And that can stand for new things. We may be asked to sacrifice our stake in X. Pick it. This is astrology. These are going to manifest broadly, very widely, different, little different for everybody. The template is that we'll sacrifice for something represented by North Node in Aquarius. And that can be, like I said, novelties, new things. It could be the urge of society, the wave of the group, the mob think. It could just be the bigger context of your situation. It could be the bigger context of the individual, symbolized by Leo and South Node. So, and even though the new moon is in Virgo, this South Node, symbolized by Leo, and its backdrop is why I'm emphasizing Leo for this, because the node is what makes it an eclipse, and the node is what provides the key to tell us tell us more about what wants to happen, with the prerogatives and evolutionary impulses behind this eclipse. And when we see this thing relating to the outer planets, to the basket, to everything in retrograde on the other side of the sky, we can think of this as being, and I want to call attention to this basket and its Uranus, Neptune, Pluto angles. They are zeroed. These are all within 1 degree, all within orb of effect. And that's when you see correlations at ground level with the energetic expressions in the heavens at between 1 and 0 degree. The Uranus Pluto contact for this new moon is at 0 degrees 7 arc minutes. It's profoundly close and very precise. Not perfect, but close enough to have a marked impact. And when we think about sun and moon as being in really close relationship to these outer planets, which we can see is kind of the case, we have 0, 2 degrees relationships, 1 degrees. We have a close relationship. So we need to understand what is the outer planet basket, symbolizing together. How does it synergize? So I just want to take a little textbook breakdown of this. We can look at Uranus as bizarre, unexpected, signifying the power of change, and manifesting as a kind of electrifying genius. We can see Neptune as surreal, higher dimensional, manifesting the power of dreams and representing spirit and the construct of reality itself. We have Pluto. I'm not glossing Saturn. I'll be back. Saturn's a couple degrees outside of this, like really, really perfecting set of relationships. Saturn's 2 and 3 degrees away from the other, so close enough to matter. But we're going to look at Pluto now. Pluto is representing the ruthless, transformative power of death and rebirth, and signifies evolution and the soul. So when we bring Saturn into this, we see a strategic, patient force representing the power of structures, manifesting as discipline and the joy that discipline brings. Don't take Saturn for a bad guy. Saturn just, well, he's just like that. Not a bad guy, though. Actually, Saturn, out of these actors, let's take a look at this. Saturn's the only rational one. Saturn is the only sensible one. The rest are particularly transcendental. I say that lovingly. The air quotes are because no one knows quite what that word means. I mean, in this case, we can say they're transcendental of dualistic morality. Oh, yeah. Hard yes on that. Like, if you ever wondered why bad things happen to good people, like, ask the old gods. Ask them. They even though Saturn's fundamentally rational, right? His rationality is to test by tempering, like the process of beating the impurities out of a hot metal, right? To purify it. So when he moves in our lives, we can feel like that beaten ingot. And that's just Saturn. That's one actor of 4 who are moving in powerful tandem. So there's no way to dress this up. These slow-moving actors, these, man, this is about big things manifesting in impersonal ways, very impersonal ways. These aren't the planets that care about your feelings. None of them care about our feelings. Which is a great segue. That's a great segue because that's about all I really want to say about that. I just want to gloss that. The inner planets Here on the other side of the chart, and yes, even Mars, they really do care about feelings. This is about the individual lived experience, and is concerned. Moon, Venus, Mercury, Sun, and Mars are all so concerned with your feelings. Very, very feeling. Mars does stray from that. He does have a side that can become distinctly unconcerned. But Mars represents the conscious mind. Mars represents an aspect of ourselves that we experience with awareness, that we are aware of, and as such, it just goes to the drive, right? Mars, the motivation, Mars, the actions we take, Mars, in order to be what? Happy, satisfied. You can't separate the impulse and the urge, the drive of Mars from the natural way that anyone feels. How they feel is going to be what drives them. Where these planets in people's lives, they are deeper, sub and unconscious processes, chthonic forces that do not take into account how is the conscious mind, how is my feelings, how is my experience. They have their own ideas about what's best for change in the world, and your feelings will take a back seat to that. Take a back seat to those prerogatives. So we've set up a little bit of contrast, a little bit of comparison to understand the inner planets with. And these planets are all on this side of the sky, making a perfectly geometric formation. It's very unusual, actually, very unusual formation, very powerful, and reflects a conscious process that's direct. That's because the planets are direct. This is a future forward process. Like consciously, we're all ready to move on, right? But the basket of retrograde planets is presenting us with processes that are still connected directly to the past, right? For anyone who's ever seen that movie, Magnolia, you may remember the line. Great line. Good movie. We may be through with the past. Oh, but the past is not through with us. So these outer planets are representative of long patterns with deep roots, really ancient and antique origins. I talked in the last video about this Neptune Saturn and how they have a 36-year synodic period between conjunctions. 36 years. Uranus Neptune have a 170-year. That's approximate. It's 172, but they get together every so often. But that cycle, right? This last conjoined in Sag in 1993, like mid Sag. A lot of people alive born under that signature, and now we have the waxing sextile from Pisces to Taurus. We're not gonna deep dive that, but this goes back. This what we're experiencing now goes back to prerogatives that started and ended. The previous cycle ended and gave birth. The fruit of that cycle dropped the seed that gave birth in Sag to this current cycle, and that's a 170-year period. Uranus, Pluto have a 140-year period, interestingly enough. And Neptune, Pluto have like a 490, almost like a 500-year synodic period. And they were last conjoined in Taurus in 1891. That's Neptune and Pluto. So some of these processes that are winding down currently, or winding up, depending on how you look at it, have been longer in the making, right? Longer in the history than probably any of us would really like to acknowledge or are really connected to. right? We are like, yeah, the beginning is near. Let's move forward. We're almost there. And time is like, oh, no, no, not there yet, my friends. So, for more on the cycles, yeah, I'll just touch on last month's video with one final note. You can get information on all those cycles. That's the 140 Uranus Pluto, 170 year Uranus Neptune, and 490 year, it's approximate 490 year cycle of Neptune and Pluto. You can find information about that on cyclesofhistory.com. Awesome website. I'm going to promote it one last time and move on. This I we can't really get into all of the gruesome details of this. I will say this is powerful. This is rare, and even amongst powerful signatures, this is a really live one. We have Mars and Venus yawed to the basket. I just want to point this out for anyone who hasn't noticed. We have Mars and Venus yawed. We have Sun and Moon in grand trine. Yeah, if I draw any more lines, I'm gonna like open a portal. So I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna stop. But seriously, these formations now. Venus is also really closely squaring Uranus. That's like 1.5 degrees, and Mars Pluto. Mars Pluto squares almost 2 degrees. Venus Uranus squares are navigable. They tend to be workable and okay. Mars Pluto squares tend to be violent. It's just a point of fact. They tend to unleash Mars' more manipulative and forceful nature. The yod to Mars suggests the surreal, and the yod to Venus suggests that we'll not have on this one a path to follow. But we'll have to cobble together our own path to some extent from the different things that were presented to that make sense to us. Then that's an artifact of Neptune, Pluto sextile, which really tends to signify an individual approach to spiritual matters. Often a bricolage or a way of just cobbling together your own spiritual path from like whatever works. That is built into this signature. Wherever you are on that journey with that process, or not. This could be a theme for a lot of people this month, to discover our own unique path outside of institutional or orthodox paths. Venusian prerogative, given the yod to Pluto, Neptune. There's so much that we could say, but I think I will leave it there. I'm not even going to touch the stars. Just this understanding the rough strokes of a formation this powerful should be enough. We have the conscious mind moving in one direction and the subconscious and chthonic forces in the collective experience of humanity moving in another. The conscious mind is moving forward, ready for the future, very well ready to leave these grotesque artifacts of the past behind, while the grotesque artifacts of the past are resurrecting themselves and presenting in our life again, as if history repeated itself, and as if we were being asked to examine this cycle maybe and do something different. If this with all this retrograde motion connected to deep processes, directly connected to the sun and moon, the collective conscious journey this month, the journey of the human collective, well, I think that we are going to have some inner conflict with the way this shakes out. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. A lot of us are going to want to move beyond what we're experiencing, but we're not going to be able to. We're going to have to be connected to these processes. Processes of the past, processes of history, processes of karma, and of antiquity. So that's what this looks like. That's what this looks like as a starting point. This is the new moon, so this kind of plants the seed for the whole cycle. And with that in mind, let's take off and look at the waxing transits. So that basket, this basket of, okay, let's see. Let's start at the beginning. Before we go jumping into this basket, we are looking at the transits between 21st September and 6th October. And that means that these are the waxing transits between the new moon and the full moon, the 29th being the waxing quarter moon. So early in this lunation, we have this alignment of Sun with the basket. We see Sun trining to Pluto, trining to Uranus, opposing Neptune. And we can see this all happening within the 23rd, 24th. Joined incidentally by that Pluto square to Mars on the 24th, and Mercury opposite to Ceres, also on September 24th. These are the only transits for this period of time. So we have sort of 2 intense days where I would expect activity. I would expect dynamic tension and things to happen, especially with Mars Pluto. Neptune opposite Sun could make the things that happen strange. Uranus make them unexpected, abrupt. Yeah, a lot of things we don't like. Unexpected and abrupt is never good. Uranus is a good actor, but he has questionable methodologies. Questionable to most of us. Pluto's going to make it intense, polarized. Pluto's going to make it dynamic and exciting and deep. Pluto here interacting with Sun and Mars gives me the idea that there could be some action. There could even be violent action around this time. And then we get a little break through the 26th, 7th, 8th, and 29th. And I'll put the chart of the waxing moon up for everybody on the screen because some viewers really love to make a thorough study, and I always make these charts available so that the info's out there so you can see what's happening. I'm not going to comment on this one. I have no notes on it, and I have no immediate observation. The second week of the month is likewise a sort of a sort of soft week. We have on the 30th and 29th, really no alignments, no major direct alignments. Then on the 1st, we see Mercury square to Jupiter. And on the 2nd, we see Sun opposite to Ceres. And on the 3rd, we see Mercury opposite to Eris. One at a time, these aren't that bad. Mercury square Jupiter. You might talk too much. You might overspend. Sure. All that stuff can happen. When that Mercury is opposite to Eris, and so Jupiter is T-squaring this Mercury-Eris opposition. I think taken as a whole, it seems like it has the potential to be tough. It actually has the potential to be injurious to the feelings, and to be the Jupiter squared to Mercury really tends to push excitement and engagement and reaction to a point. It can push it too far. So when I see these, I see sort of like, oh, I don't know, on a scale of like 0 to 10, I think that'd probably be like a 3 or 4 of just kind of difficulty. Like, could be challenging, and then we have another couple days, which is just kind of no major alignments, no outstanding anything going on. But there is a 0 degree, this 0 degree relationship of the basket. Like I said, with the new moon chart, these are all 0 degree relationships. These trine and sextiles are past perfecting, but they're all retro, so they'll go direct again and move. This is going to be a process of some years, and we're only partway through it. I don't have exact dates, so saying things like that might not be that helpful on video. But I can't, it's not one event, so it doesn't have one ending time. It's kind of this weird transition. So as it winds down, it'll wind down like over the coming year and even 2 years in the case of some of these movements like Pluto, Neptune. I think for this whole waxing month, the best advice I can give, looking at this transits chart, which portends polarized, harsh feelings, the potential for enemies, potential for polarized, harsh feelings towards enemies, all of it. Just don't overextend. That's my best advice. That's actually going to be, this is going to be really good advice this month with the Jupiter square Eris. But just be conscious of going too far, overextending, using too much force, using more force than is necessary. What a mistake. What a common mistake. But it's exacerbated this time. Don't overextend, friends. Remember that people are people too. So to be owning your own shit, so to speak, will be, don't project it onto other people. That'll go a long way this month too. All right, fam, bam. Now we are on to the full moon. Let's take a look at this Pisces full moon, October 6th, 2025. Sun is in Virgo. Moon is close to Ceres in Pisces. Oh yeah. Let's start with the main features. Like what are we looking at here? We have a Virgo Sun Pisces Moon axis. We have ruler of Sun, Mercury, really heavily affected. We're going to look at that pretty closely. Mercury is under it. And we have the basket still in 0 degree formation. Zig, zag, zoom. Yeah, let's start there. That's enough. We'll start there. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but we'll build it in and take a look at it through the context of these main events. So we have a Virgo Sun, we have a Pisces Moon, and this axis represents the left brain, right brain split. It represents logic and intellect versus intuition, vivid inspiration. It represents the body, it's Virgo, versus the spirit, it's Pisces. And in that dichotomy, we see the limited, discrete, measurable, and finite part of us, our body, compared in contrast to the unlimited, infinite. I just want to illustrate that this dichotomy between Virgo and Pisces sets up a contradiction between the limited and the limitless, the discrete and the unbounded. It also sets up a little bit relationship between waking life, like Virgo is the waking mind, the logical mind, the rational mind, the mind of critical analysis and everyday thinking. And Pisces is the dream. It's the dreaming mind. It's the dream itself. It's where everything starts to break down, you know. So when we look at what they do, Virgo organizes and compares in order to categorize. That's what Virgo does. Virgo organizes and it compares what it's organized. It compares them to each other in order to categorize. It's the Virgo priority. It's a Virgoan prerogative. Pisces dreams and it seeks awe. A-W-E, awe. Pisces dreams and seeks awe in order to transcend. Now, those are totally different prerogatives. Those are what you have when you end up bridging successfully the Virgo Pisces axis. When you build a bridge across that gap, you have spiritual science. You have sensible mysticism. It's such a powerful axis. It's amazing. Although, you know, the Pisces Virgo axis is amazing on its own, but this split, this Virgo Pisces split is further dichotomized because we have Jupiter square to Pisces, and Jupiter square to Virgo. Now I know Jupiter's square to Eris and Chiron in Pisces and square to Mercury in Virgo, but just the stars, like we can consider Jupiter to be kind of T-squaring the axis of Virgo and Pisces. And likewise, Pluto T-squares the axis of Virgo Pisces. So things are already polarized between Pisces and Virgo. This is like a powerfully polarized axis because they deal with two distinct ends they deal with two extremes, and the spectrum in between those extremes is often hard to reconcile, often hard to navigate, holding both of the extremes as you navigate the whole spectrum. Now Pluto is going to exacerbate this, and Jupiter is going to exacerbate this. Jupiter squares take things to extreme, and Pluto squares polarize. Okay, now on top of that, Pluto, Jupiter, Eris, Chiron, and mighty Mercury all form a grand cross this month. Now, yes, a grand cross is the most potently powerful formation in astrology. If you want to get something done, there's a lot of ways to do it. I'm not insinuating that grand trines don't also have power. A grand trine is like gentle power. Grand trine is like the power of water, waves at the beach that just end up wearing down, and over time they dissolve the rock. The grand cross is like a lightning strike that just obliterates the rock. It's often fraught with challenge and difficulty, but when the grand cross is able to express its full potential, there's not a lot that can stand up to it. There's not a lot. By comparison, it is the most potently powerful formation in astrology. Now that could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. And in this case, I'm gonna put neutrality on it, because the idea that it all comes down on Mercury is compounded by a yod, Mercury yod, Uranus, Neptune. Now, Mercury yod, Uranus, Neptune is going to make things strange. They will be strange this month. They will be bizarre and surreal. And this could have to do with monies. This could have to do with realities. or reality, and presumably there is just one at some level of all this, and that's Pisces. That's what Pisces stands for. I can't express how a chart like this puts pressure on Mercury, and I can express how Mercury is ruling, is the ruler of Virgo. I know there's different ideas about that. I know Virgo is a contested territory. We have arguments for Ceres, strong arguments for Venus. Maybe other arguments exist, even strong ones, but I'm still gonna go with Mercury on this one. Be that as it may, that Mercury does or doesn't resonate with Virgo as the sole ruler. I've seen powerful resonance, and I give it the primary correlation as a planet to Virgo. So this is going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down to Sun. It's going to trickle down to Mars. And this weirdness, this bizarreness, this potent desire for transformation, and this willingness, Jupiter square, willingness to go too far, compounded by an opposition to Eris Chiron, the chaos, the primordial wound, the pain of existence. The Mayans called it the burden of time. They depicted it as a gigantic fucking rock that a person is carrying on their back. You can see in the Mayan solar calendar the burden of time. The Ha'ab is often depicting this, not so much the Zolkin. So this looks really difficult for Mercury. He is in a grand cross with Pluto and Eris and Jupiter, who's turning everything up. He's yawed to Uranus, Neptune, one of the most bizarre and disorienting configurations I can think of. And this yod and the grand cross will put a lot of pressure on Mercury. This looks like a lot of anxiety. Looks like a lot of what we experience as pressure psychologically. And if all that sounds brutal, this is the degree, Mercury's degree, of the next new moon. This is, maybe not this exact degree at 37 degrees of Virgo, but in this formation, in this grand cross, in this yod, making these same alignments, the October new moon, yeah, it fulfills that criteria, unfortunately. The basket's still in 0 degree of activation. So it's going to be in like a basic formation. It'll still be in formation February 20th when the Saturn-Neptune conjunction perfects, February 20th, 2026. And that'll perfect 2 days after a North Node eclipse in Aquarius. And that's 6 months away. So the synthesis of all this, oh, my friends, how do I take all this and put it into one quick place in a constructive way, in an uplifted way? I don't think even just staying home, if you can stay home and work from home, or if you have the liberty of hiding under your rock for a month, I don't know if that's gonna change anything or save you. This Mercury anxiety could really trickle into a lot of people's lives, just about the state of the world. Like what's going on? You know, who are these people and what are they doing with society? Kind of feels like the beatings will continue until morale improves, which is unfair. I can't make an argument for life that life is fair. I don't believe that it is. I I haven't seen that. That's not very helpful or constructive, is it? What do we say about this? This is a month that looks like it's going to test everyone's ability to handle anxiety. And I think the more we understand about the internal conflict, the pull, the desire to move forward past all this, and the prerogatives of the collective unconscious and subconscious that are still working out those karmas, to understand that and then just take what emerges out of this lunation as, a test. That's what it looks like. Looks like it'd be a strong test this month. Something for the warriors. So I hope that you've all got your meditation skills practiced and you're able to keep some kind of connection to the I at the center of the storm. All right, friends. Now we look at waning transits between the full moon, October 6th, and the next new moon, October 21st. The waning quarter is October 13th, and these will be the waning transits for this lunation. So moving out of the full moon, this Pisces Virgo expression on the 6th, we have Mercury perfecting square to Pluto on the 7th. And this is buffered and supported by a Venus sextile to Jupiter. These are very protective forces to the psyche, very protective forces where Pluto square Mercury can really polarize, really create tension, really create intensity, depth, and just totally tear something apart. Jupiter and Venus they have a more preservative effect. But very generally speaking, and this could soften. So we have these two mixed influences on the 7th and 8th. We have this like blessing, just kind of general blessing. And we have this Pluto square Mercury, which kind of, it feels right after a full moon like that, like this could really tear some people's minds apart. Unfortunately, we need to be on guard for this and the powerful effects of Pluto's extremism. And we can understand that these influences may be in effect for a certain time, but then we can also, understand that we'll be out of those influences again. So this isn't anything to act on the 7th or 8th. It's just things to take in stride. Pluto square Mercury, Venus sextile Jupiter. Yeah, pretty diametrically opposed set of interests there. And Venus is then opposite to Saturn on the 11th. And, in mundane astrology, Venus is women and women's issues. It's peace, diplomacy, the arts, it's luxury, and it's beauty and aesthetics. It's, of course, relationships, yeah. It represents like cultural trends, like in arts, entertainment. It represents fashion. Venus in her patterns correlate with patterns of diplomacy to government, commerce, especially commerce related to pleasure, wealth, or aesthetics. So Saturn is gonna influence all that with an opposition. An influence of restriction, an influence of a need for discipline, a need for scruples and integrity. I read in this. That's part of because Venus's influence is reciprocal and brings out the best of Saturn. Venus is Saturn's friend. If Saturn has only one friend, it is Venus. And while we have restriction, discipline, a need for scruples, a need for integrity at this time, this does lead towards this just is a step towards the full engagement of the basket that Venus will make right around the waning quarter moon. So, in a way, this is important, but in a way, it's just also indicative of something bigger right around the corner. So it can seem like something's happening, and it likely will be. But just understanding this whole thing will be in process until about the 15th. And that brings us to the waning quarter moon. I want to put this chart up on the screen for the people. We see Venus here, now like fully engaged, with the potential to soften, some of the sun moon artifacts that could be difficult as the moon goes around. We see moon with Jupiter here for this last quarter moon, and we see Pluto station direct. Could be an intense time as Jupiter opposite to Pluto, station direct, brings out the full force of Pluto. Not a thing we can talk about in ways that aren't ominous. The full force of Pluto. Yeah, not much to say about that except it really brings out the power of Pluto, emphasizes and strengthens the effect of Pluto. I'll leave that there. Venus makes contact with the basket, which is a little bit more uplifted. These 3 transits over the course of the 13th and 14th signify, you know, Venus coming into contact with this powerful formation, and yeah, Pluto has to station direct, right? At his furthest point. He's at his furthest point retrograde. He's at his deepest, he's at the point most connected to the primordial past and the origins of his cycles and his unfinished prerogatives, his loose ends. So we can be aware of what Pluto's trying to tell us at this time, because Venus is going to connect this all to the conscious mind via connection to Pluto, connection to Uranus, opposition to Neptune. And honestly, exactly what this symbolizes, I couldn't say. I would be hard to make a prediction. This Venusian relationship with the basket is going to bring our hearts and our sense of appreciation for ourselves as people, appreciation for each other. So bring all that into focus. It'll bring relationships into focus. And it'll connect it to deep, powerful processes of change and transformation. Let's move on. We have Sun opposite Eris on the 18th. Oh, no. First, we have on the 17th, sort of the 16th and 17th, we have Sun square Jupiter. And then we have Sun opposite Eris and Jupiter square Eris. So basically, Jupiter is going to T-square a Sun-Eris opposition. That's what that looks like. Jupiter T-squaring a Sun-Eris opposition. Venus opposes to Ceres, indicating harsh feelings, and Mercury conjoins to Mars on the 20th as we wind this month down. This is heavy. This is not good for the feelings or those who experience the events. But Jupiter T-squaring an opposition increases polarity. Polarity is Eris's like, that's her party grounds. That's where she goes to have a fun time, is to the polarized places, the places of like conflict and tension. She has the power to resolve them, but the process, especially if we don't get the memo, especially if we fight it, especially if we're like just too much of a fool to be aware, it can be brutal. It can be really, Eris can symbolize savage processes. Yeah, she stands for like doing the shadow work and shining light on parts of our psyches that we haven't been looking at. But this month winds down with a difficult signature combined with an omen of hard feelings as Venus opposes Ceres. Difficult to appreciate, hard on the heart. And Mercury conjoined to Mars. Mercury conjoined to Mars will take us into the next new moon on October 21st. All right, so here's the next new moon. It's a Virgo moon, opposite there's Chiron, which means it's part of a grand cross, Jupiter, Pluto. It's Yod, Uranus, Neptune. So in a lot of ways this month, and everything we experience around that mercurial placement around the full moon at 37 degrees Virgo, resonating with the next cycle, that will give us a lot of clues as to what to expect in October, November. They'll give us a lot of clues as to how surreal and weird the Uranus-Neptune effect is going to be as we deal with yods, putting pressure, putting more pressure. The whole month looks like pressure. This will be a pressure cooker, friends. And yeah, I can only encourage people to practice and use their skills, their good life skills, their basic coping mechanisms, be it breathing, be it your social supports, be it wherever you go to process all this, whether it's your happy place or you're processing the misery place. This month could require extra processing, heavier processing. I didn't have a lot of notes this month. I don't have a lot of like events to hype or, I can barely remember my own website some months. I guess it's like right there. So neat. OneSkyAstro.com. Yeah, please do come check me out. If you're on Facebook, we have a community for constellational and sidereal. And so that, fam, much love, beauty, and blessings on you all. Safety to everyone this month. Looks wild, and I hope you all fare very well out there. Bless you, and I'll see you in October.